Today we're going to be talking about subtracting integers. If you have not looked at the adding integers video yet, I suggest that you go back, look at that video first, and then come to subtracting integers. Also, just like adding integers, there is a video guide. If you have not printed that off, please pause now. Go ahead and print off the video guide and come back because we will be using those examples in today's lesson. Before we go over how to subtract integers, let's go ahead and review what an integer is. Remember, an integer is a positive or negative whole number. Now, last time for adding integers, I used the idea of balloons and weights. Okay, helium balloons on the basket are positives. They make the basket lighter. And weights on the basket are like negative integers. Okay, they weigh the basket down. We also talked about how a helium balloon, having one helium balloon and one weight, that would actually cancel out and leave the basket at 0. Because the balloon is pulling up, the weight is pulling down, so essentially the basket's not changing. And we're going to use that concept again today when we are subtracting integers. So one thing I want you to take a look at on your video guide is I want you to think of subtracting a negative as taking away a weight. Okay? So when we have our basket, and we have weights on our basket. Okay, let's just put 2 weights. Subtracting a negative amount from here. If I'm trying to take off, let's say a -1, subtracting a -1 from my basket. Okay, that would be like taking off one of the weights from the basket. And when that happens, our basket actually gets lighter. It will go up. Okay, so subtracting a negative is like taking off a weight. Okay? It's also the same thing if it gets lighter as adding a positive amount. Because adding a balloon to my basket would do the same thing. Okay? If taking off a weight makes it lighter, adding a balloon also makes the basket lighter. So subtracting a -1 is the same thing as adding a +1. And we're going to be using that concept when we are subtracting our integers today. So the rules that we're going to use, again, this is on your video guide. Rule number 1 says to change the subtraction sign to an addition sign. So each problem we're going to do today, we are going to change the subtraction to addition. Now, if we think about this for just one moment, if I have 7 minus 5, 7 minus 5, we all know that the answer is 2. Okay? If all I do is change the subtraction sign to addition and change this to 7 plus 5, my answer is no longer 2. My answer is 12. Totally different amounts. Okay? So, step number 1 by itself will not give you the correct answer. There are 2 things you have to change. So step 1, changing subtraction sign to an addition sign, do that first, but that's not the only thing we have to do. Step number 2 is equally as important, okay? After you change subtraction to addition, go ahead and change the sign of the second number. Only the second number. Let's look at our example again. So if we have 7 minus 5, again, we all know that that is 2. Let's try applying our rules, okay? Change the subtraction sign to addition. So instead of 7 minus 5, I'm going to have 7 plus 5. But again, we already said that those are not equal to each other. So step number 2 tells us, change the sign of the second number, only the second number. First number is 7, so I'm going to keep that the same. My second number is a positive 5 right now, so I'm going to change it to a negative 5. A positive 7 plus a negative 5. Again, if you've already done the rules of addition, you should know that if the signs are different, we actually subtract. 7 minus 5 is 2, and we always keep the sign of the bigger number when we're doing addition and subtraction. My bigger number is 7. It's a positive 7, so my answer is positive 2. Now that I've changed two things, I've done both rules, my answers are the same. 7 minus 5 gives us the same answer as 7 plus negative 5. Now this might seem silly as far as using these steps for a problem that we really know how to do very well, like 7 minus 5. However, when we're doing our integers, as you'll see in later problems, this will be helpful and it will make the problem much simpler if we change it to addition and then follow the rules that we learned before. So let's take a look at some of those problems. Number 1, we have 4 minus 7. I'm going to follow my rules. Rule number 1 tells me to change the subtraction sign to addition. Rule number 2 tells me to change the sign of the second number. This is a positive 7 right now, so I'm going to make it a negative 7. When I look at this problem, it's now addition, so I can follow the rules of addition. If the signs are different, the rules of addition tell me to subtract because they're going to cancel out. 7 minus 4. I always take the bigger minus the smaller because that's just how my brain works and how most of us are used to seeing problems. So 7 minus 4 gives me 3. We always keep the sign of the bigger number, so our answer is actually negative 3. 7 is bigger, so we'll keep the sign of the 7. Negative 3 is my solution. Let's take a look at number 2. We have negative 4 minus 1. Again, let's follow our rules, okay? Rule number 1 says to change the subtraction sign to addition. So that's what I'm going to do. And then change the sign of the second number. This is a positive 1. I'm going to make this a negative 1. Now we just follow the rules of addition. The rules of addition tell us that if the signs are the same, both of these are negative, so the signs are the same, we'll go ahead and add the two numbers together. 4 plus 1 is 5. Again, we always keep the sign of the bigger number. Bigger number is 4, so my answer is negative 5. Number 3, we have negative 8 minus negative 5. Follow the rules. Rule number 1, change subtraction to addition. So make this plus. Rule number 2, change the sign of the second number, only the second number. So my second number is a negative 5, so to make the sign the opposite, I'm going to need a positive 5. Now that I've changed this to addition, I follow the rules that tell me if the signs are different, and the signs have to be different after you change them, not from the beginning. Okay, the beginning problem no longer exists. This is my new problem. The signs are different now, so that means I subtract. 8 minus 5 is 3. Keep the sign of the bigger number. 8 is bigger, so this is a negative 3. Number 4, we have negative 4 minus negative 4. Change the sign, so instead of subtraction, let's make this addition. Instead of negative 4, let's put positive 4. Now that we've changed the problem, the signs are different, which means I'm going to subtract. 4 minus 4 is 0. Now remember, 0 is neither positive nor negative, so I don't need a sign here. It doesn't matter which one's bigger, which in this case, they're the same size. So our answer is just 0, no sign. All right, problem number 5. We have 3 minus negative 9. So what we can do is change our subtraction sign to addition, change the sign of the second number. Instead of -9, we make it +9. Following the rules of addition, my signs are the same. Both are positive numbers. So we add. 3 plus 9 is 12. Keeping the sign of the bigger number, my answer is +12. Last one that we're going to do together, number 6. We have -6 minus -2. Again, change the subtraction to addition and change the sign of the second number. Make sure you're doing this. If you try to just do it in your head, it's really easy to change one of the signs but not both of them, and then you end up with the wrong answer. Once the signs are changed, we notice that the signs are now different. We have a -6, a +2. If the signs are different, we subtract. 6 minus 2 gives us 4. Keep the sign of the bigger number. This is a -6, 6 is bigger, so my answer is a -4. My suggestion at this point is to pause the video. There are 4 problems at the bottom of the video guide for you to try on your own. Pause for a moment, work out those problems, and I'll be posting the answers in a moment. For number 7, your answer for -11 minus -6 should be, when you add these two, change it to addition of a positive, you should get -5 for your solution. For number 8, the problem was -8 minus 2. Changing it to adding the opposite, you should get a -10. Problem number 9 is 9 minus -9. Change it to adding a positive, 9 plus 9. You should get +18 for number 9. And lastly, number 10, we have 1 minus 7. Changing it to adding the opposite sign, 1 plus -7 gives us -6. And that's all for subtracting integers.